Welcome back everyone to Formula 1 2021 and welcome to your sprint qualifying report for the 2021 Italian Grand Prix. Now for those of you that are new to Formula 1 or just need a bit of a refresher, sprint qualifying is our brand new trial concept for 2021. We saw it at Silverstone, it is back for the Italian Grand Prix this weekend. Yesterday, on Friday, we had our traditional qualifying session, and today we had a half an hour sprint race, just 19 laps around the circuit Monza, a mini race if you will, to determine our grid for tomorrow's race. As always, spoiler warning is in effect for today's qualifying session. If you do enjoy, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. But without further ado, let's jump in to your qualifying sprint results. And it's victory, pole position, speed king for Valtteri Bottas, converting that front row start to victory today. However, with a brand new power unit and plenty of penalties, he will start the race tomorrow in dead last. And Max Verstappen, despite a shaky start to the weekend, will actually start on pole with Daniel Ricciardo lining up alongside him, his first front row start since Mexico 2018, McLaren's first front row start since Brazil 2012. A great day for the Honey Badger, really looking forward to talking about McLaren a little bit later on, and with Norris in fourth, we'll start tomorrow's race in third. What a day for the Papaya cars. Hamilton in fifth, now there's a story for you. Mercedes tried something different on the strategy with Valtteri Bottas having those grid penalties. It's backfired a little bit and Hamilton has got some work to do in the race tomorrow. 6th and 7th for Ferrari isn't the end of the world, just like everyone else will move forward one place for the Grand Prix tomorrow, and they did a great job getting that car ready for Carlos Sainz. Giovinazzi 8th place will start his equal highest grid position tomorrow in 7th, the exact same as at the Dutch Grand Prix. Perez is 9th and Lance Stroll rounds out your top 10, but those two very much in the wars in today's sprint quali. Alonso got the moment of sprint quali with that lovely move down the inside of Sebastian Vettel in the first Lesmo. Seb Vettel P12. Esteban Ocon is 13th in front of the two Williams cars of Latifi and Russell. Yuki Tsunoda 16th place. Contact with Robert Kubica on the opening lap, not doing him any favours. Robert finishing 18th. Mazepin split those two in 17th. Schumacher, our final finisher, in 19th. And Pierre Gasly, a huge incident for the French driver on the opening lap of sprint qualifying today. Contact with the back of Daniel Ricciardo and will start the race P19 or pit lane start for the race tomorrow. And as we move over to our sprint qualifying breakdown, there's a lot to get through, but not as much as normal. When you've only got a half an hour race with this kind of session, there's not a lot to talk about, and in actual fact, most of the cars finished where they qualified, and it wasn't an eventful sprint race. I'm going to have a bigger breakdown in the week because, in all honesty, I didn't really enjoy today. Yes, there were moments, and yes, we've got a mixed up grid. Bottas, who would start on pole, starting at the back of the grid with those penalties. Hamilton down to 5th in what is the best car this weekend. 2 McLarens in the front 3. All of that is fantastic. But did we really need that today? Time will tell. Hopefully, we've got a great race tomorrow, but I'm going to put something together during midweek to have a more in-depth discussion, not only about today's sprint quali, but also Silverstone as well. However, we do have 10 teams to get through today, and technically, your highest scoring team were Mercedes. 3 points for Valtteri Bottas, drove superbly. A great start, no mistakes. Verstappen kept him honest, but Bottas, having one of his best performances of the season, it has to be said, a comfortable victory for the Finnish driver. Hamilton, on the other hand, a very different story. A really sluggish start, not quite getting up through those gears, bogging down on the initial start phase, going not only behind Verstappen but also behind the two McLarens, and having that crucial tyre disadvantage with both Mercedes, both Red Bulls starting on the mediums, both McLarens starting on the soft tyres. The McLarens were the cars on the move in those early stages. However, as those tyres started to wear off, Hamilton was unable to make a move on Norris and will start the race tomorrow in 4th with a lot of work to do. Those McLarens are not going to be easy to pass, and if he wants to really put a stranglehold back on this championship, he's got to beat Max, and that's going to be very tricky starting from P4. Not a great day for Mercedes. Red Bull, though, I think will be very, very happy. Verstappen will start tomorrow's race on pole, and with 2 McLarens acting as a buffer between him and Hamilton, they must be delighted with that result. Also scoring 2 points, 2 more than Hamilton today. Crikey, they are going to be ecstatic with today's results. Keeping pace with Bottas is something I don't think they were quite expecting. It's sprint quali, so take that with a pinch of salt. No one's really pushing flat out. The McLarens on that different strategy, their tyres wore off very quickly during that sprint race. And so I think tomorrow McLaren are going to be a lot closer. I also think Mercedes are going to have that bit more of an advantage. So they will know Hamilton's a threat. But in terms of today, that really couldn't have gone much better. The only real issue, I suppose, from a Red Bull point of view, is Sergio Perez wasn't able to really work his way through the field, finishing in 9th place, exactly where he started. And though he gained a position with Gasly crashing out on the opening lap, lost out to Giovinazzi. Evidently, the race is very long tomorrow. This is a track where in race conditions, when the field is spread out, when strategy comes into play, Sergio should be able to work his way forward. And of all the drivers within that top 10, Sergio really sacrificed his own qualifying lap yesterday to give Max Verstappen the toe, but it's still not great. I still expected him to move forward much quicker, but I'll give him time tomorrow because there is more than enough chance that he was just trying to keep things a little bit cleaner. Even when he overtook Stroll by cutting the corner at turn 1, it would have been even more silly to make contact with a move like that in sprint qualifying, especially when you consider that mess at Silverstone for Checo. And so it's work to do again for the Mexican driver on Sunday, but that's what he is best at. That is why Red Bull signed him, so I'm confident he can still score big, but overtakes are going to have to happen pretty quickly if he wants to fight for some big points in the race tomorrow. McLaren, I've pretty much talked about them already, haven't I? 3rd and 4th translate into 2nd and 3rd for tomorrow. Great starts from both of them. That's an awesome bit of strategy, putting both of them on the soft tyres, taking advantage of those early few laps, just like Alonso did at Silverstone in the sprint race, and it's paid off. Danny Rick beating Lando Norris. It was all really due to the start, because after lap 1, after the safety car restart, no one was really making moves, and it really settled down into this kind of procession. But for McLaren, they don't care. They really don't care, because that safety car, those 2 or 3 laps gave them that extra bit of tyre life, enabled them to hold on, enabled Lando to fend off Hamilton, and a perfect day today very much smells like a podium in the works for tomorrow. Hopefully, I haven't jinxed it. If I have, feel free to come back and shout at me. But so far, so good for them, and their race pace does look good. They were great here last season. Their car's better this year. They've got a better engine this year. They've got every chance. I don't think of winning the race. I think that's a step too far. But never say never in Formula 1. A great day for McLaren. 6th and 7th for Ferrari. Lots of question marks this weekend. Leclerc a little bit unwell after second practice. Eventually did take part in sprint qualifying and coming away with a 6th place. Not bad at all. Carlos Sainz had that big spin through Ascari in practice too, totally ruining his car, but they got it fixed, got him out. 7th place is not too bad either. Both Ferraris in the top 10, just like everyone else, translates to 5th and 6th, even better. And if there's some carnage in front, their pace wasn't too bad either. I wonder whether they will come under threat from Perez. But with Giovinazzi, that bit of a buffer in between, they'll be confident they can have a pretty decent result. Giovinazzi, while we're on the subject, Another great drive, another really strong drive. You do question whether it's a little bit too late at this point, with rumours circling this weekend that Guan Yu Zhou, Formula 2, currently in second place in the championship, is the new favourite to take that Alfa Romeo seat for next season. But Giovinazzi driving his socks off at the moment, fending off Sergio Perez, making a couple of moves on the opening lap. Starts 7th tomorrow. He started 10th today. That's awesome. Alfa Romeo, a backmarker team for this season. Didn't look like it today. Great stuff from Giovinazzi and Robert Kubica, who of course is replacing Kimi Raikkonen last weekend and this weekend after that positive COVID test. Contact with Yuki Tsunoda? Probably not what he would have been hoping for heading into today's sprint quali, but finishing in front of Schumacher, starting 17th, that's really not that bad. Stroll in 10th, had a great start. Really had a good start from 12th on the grid up to 9th place. Eventually lost out to Sergio Perez due to that bit of how do we put it? Mexican tango between the two former teammates. No love lost there, I think it's safe to say. But Stroll eventually was given the position back. Perez then went back through. There was a bit of an investigation, bit of moaning from either side to Michael Massey. Nothing came of it, rightly so. Perez did give the place back. It was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It's aggressive. It's a really tricky chicane to get right, especially when you've got two cars going through there. Racing incidents. However, from a Stroll side of things, finishing P10, I think that's a good job. Vettel, P12, will start the race 11th. They've got options tomorrow. They didn't come into this weekend expecting a great race car, and if they can nick a couple of points, that's not a bad return for them. Of course, their race this weekend, like most weekends this year, is with Alpine, and it's a bit of an Aston Martin Alpine sandwich, because in between the two Astons is Alonso, who, as I mentioned earlier, secured that moment of the sprint race with that move into the first Lesmo on Vettel, and Ocon in 13th. It's going to be another classic Aston versus Alpine weekend to try and score those final few points in the top 10. Latifi beats out George Russell. Russell had a good comeback actually. He was pretty much brought to a standstill with Robert Kubica spinning with the contact with Yuki Tsunoda on the opening lap. Managed to get past Schumacher, Mazepin and get very close to his teammate. Not a great day from Williams considering where they've been over the last few weekends. But it's not a track they were expecting to do great things, and I think it could be a long day tomorrow for George and Latifi. Tsunoda in 16th is our lead AlphaTauri Yuki. I've mentioned it several times. Contact with Kubica, a little kiss between the two of them, a racing incident through the second chicane. It's almost inevitable. If you're going side by side, there's going to be contact, and with a driver who's pretty much been out of Formula 1 for 2 years, stick him in a new car, stick a very aggressive rookie in the other car, it was almost bound to happen. It was written in the Formula 1 stars. Tsunoda having to pit for a front wing. Actually, not a bad comeback to get past both the Haas cars and back past Kubica, who eventually came back round and didn't have any damage, thankfully for Robert and Pierre Gasly. Almost a carbon copy to what happened in Bahrain. A slight tap on the back of Daniel Ricciardo in the first corner, going through Curva Grande. The last thing you want to see, something you hate seeing, is the front wing just slipping, snapping underneath the car. Sent him flying off into the barriers, and thank goodness for the gravel trap, because that crash was quite big, quite aggressive. But could you imagine if that was tarmac runoff? That could have been even worse. That could have been a real scary incident for Pierre, and it's disappointing for him, because 6th place again in quali, managed to get past Hamilton through those first couple of corners. Could have started the race 4th tomorrow, but instead starts dead last. Could be a pit lane start, depending on how much damage. A disappointing day for both AlphaTauris, and I think for a team that won here 12 months ago, I don't think they'll be too keen on the sprint race format. And our final team, Mazepin and Schumacher, both driving for Haas. It's 17th and 19th, a really quiet day between the two of them. And after last weekend, if that's all I've got to say on them, I'm sure Haas will be very happy indeed. But just before we go, let's take a quick look at driver of the day and ones to watch. I don't think there's too many candidates for driver of the day today. Maybe Fernando Alonso, but I've got to give it to King Smiler. Daniel Ricciardo, top 3 today. We'll start the race tomorrow on the front row. Hats off to you, man. Bravo. Well and truly deserved. It's been a long time coming. It's not been a great season for Danny Rick and McLaren, and it's starting to turn around since the summer break. So Ricciardo, my driver of the day, and ones to watch. There's plenty of them as always, but Valtteri Bottas from the back of the grid, what can he do? Can he score points? Can he get on the podium? Sergio Perez, a disappointing day today, but I think he's got redemption on the cards tomorrow. Giovinazzi, of course, fighting for his career, but my racing reviews, ones to watch, is Lewis Hamilton. 5th place turns into 4th, but this could be a real championship defining race, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I'll be back tomorrow evening for your Italian Grand Prix race review, so hopefully I will see you then. Hit that subscribe button to keep up to date. Let me know your thoughts on sprint quali. I'm still not sure. Again, I'll post a video midweek because I really want to have an analysis on this, but I'm not sure. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video a little bit more. If you did, that is awesome. Hit that like button if you did enjoy. But as always, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I hope to see you all in the next one.